afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the People on the Go Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Melissa, and I will be moderating the webinar today. Before we start, let us make sure that you can see the screen and hear me. If you can please use the question panel on the right side of your screen to type a brief note indicating that you can hear me and see the screen, that would be great. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Both, yes. Great. Let me go back real quick. By the way, this is the same questions panel that we will use for questions later. We'll have a Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. And just in case you're having technical difficulty, the technical number to call is right there on the screen. Today's webinar is Microsoft Office 2010 Tips and Tricks, and I have with me Kim, our speaker, and I'll be introducing her in just a minute. Just a quick background about why we have these sessions, especially for those who are with us for the first time. We have these sessions because our focus is productivity in the workplace here at People on the Go, and the topics you see on the screen are the topics that we cover. And we have them in a variety of formats, including the webinar format, just like today's session. The webinars are offered on a monthly basis, and you can check them out on the website. And there's the link right there. And we have a membership program that makes these webinars very easy to take advantage of. And you can see the options for you. We also have many resources available, like the blog, Facebook, LinkedIn groups, and you can also follow us on Twitter. And now let us dive into today's topic. Let me introduce Kim, our speaker. Kim is Vice President of Productivity at People on the Go. She's a dynamic, results-driven professional with more than 15 years' experience in consulting, training, and the development fields. Kim masterfully helps everyone from technology-challenged individuals to advanced power users to rapidly learn and implement the accomplishing more with less methodology and use a variety of applications including Microsoft Outlook, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Total Organization, and more. Kim holds a master's degree in applied behavioral science, specializing in consulting and training. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kim. This transition is just going to take a few moments. Oh, Kim, are you there with us?
I'm here, Melissa. Thank you.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much.
So, yes, welcome. And again, my name is Kim Silverman with People on the Go. I'm happy to be here with you to share my enthusiasm for Office 2010. I think they've made some definite enhancements and continue to increase the user-friendly nature of the Office applications, as well as the efficiency in using them. So I hope to share some of that with you all today. The purpose in our Power Pack Turbo session today is to give you some tips and techniques, introduce you to some of the hot-off-the-press features, but really mainly it's to give you that motivation and courage to experiment and play with Office 2010 a bit more. Now, our agenda, I am going to take some time to cover the overall navigation in 2010. What's great about this is this navigation applies to all of the applications, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and even largely Outlook. So everything I'll be covering in the first section actually applies to each of those applications. So once you get that familiarity with that navigation, that can make utilizing these applications much easier and less stressful. And then we'll dive into a couple of key features in each of those listed, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And I'm going to do my very best to keep us on track so that we have a couple minutes for some questions at the end. Melissa, are we good to go? I'm going to assume that means yes. So for our introduction, I'm actually going to take us out of presentation mode in PowerPoint, and I'm going to use this presentation as our example of the general navigation to Office 2010. Now, what's the big deal? The big deal is the user interface. What we're referring to here are specifically the ribbons versus the menus. So in the past, in 2003 and previous, if you clicked on File, it would drop down a number of options, and you got to hunt through them to find what you wanted. Well, in 2007 and carried forward in 2010, we now have these ribbons. So what you see along the top is called a ribbon. Why do you care about the specific terminology? Because if you do access other resources, whether it be online or other reference materials, having some familiarity with that terminology can help you to be able to make use of those resources. So now we have the ribbons. Specifically, this is the Home tab, and then you see the other tabs along the way, okay? So one of the things that folks, even folks who have been using Office 2010 for a few years, may or may not be familiar with is actually called the Quick Access Toolbar. Now, the Quick Access Toolbar is in the upper left-hand corner, and it's right up here, up in the upper left. Now, you may have seen it, but not necessarily known how to use it or how to best customize it. You can customize it. Little side tip here. Again, everything I'm covering now applies to all of the Office applications, Word, Excel, Outlook. So a little visual cue. You see this line with the triangle right there? That's your visual cue that there are more options. So if we click on that, we can instantly customize our Quick Access Toolbar. If you're one that likes to go to the recent, open the recent files, we can check that, and it will instantly be added to that Quick Access Toolbar. Okay, this isn't rocket science, but here's a couple of tips for you. Number one, let's say that you happen to you work on your slideshows a lot and you rehearse the timings. You can customize your Quick Access Toolbar to have instant access to that feature by right-clicking on that feature. So I've got Rehearse Timing selected. I right-click and see that Add to Quick Access Toolbar, and that's instantly added. What that does for you is that no matter what tab you're in, no matter where you're at, you would be able to select that feature as long as it's a feature that's available for the function you're doing at that time. So it's very quick and easy to customize. Now, if any of you like keyboard shortcuts, you may even like the Quick Access Toolbar even more, because you may have noticed in Office 2010 that some of your shortcuts don't work quite the same. Now they're called keycaps. If we press Alt, see those numbers appear on the Quick Access Toolbar? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Office automatically assigns a number to any feature or function you have designated for that Quick Access Toolbar. So now all you have to do is Alt and 9, and you would be able to rehearse your slideshow. Notice that there's also a keycap letter designated for each tab. So F for File makes some sense, H for Home, N for insert, I can get used to that one, right? So that's how you can find those, because for those keyboard shortcuts in Office 2010, you now need to first get to the specific tab to access those. So that's your advanced keyboard shortcut tip for you. Now, you want those icons to go away, just click on Alt again and they'll no longer clutter your view. So the quick access toolbar comes in handy. A little best practice, I generally recommend no more than 10. If you end up with a quick access toolbar that goes halfway across your window, you're going to likely defeat the purpose of that being an instant reference. Now, another really critical element of this new interface are what are called contextual tabs. What in the world is a contextual tab? Well, if I can call your attention to the View tab over here, see it's the last tab we have on the right-hand side in the top toolbar. Watch what happens if I, for example, insert a table, which is a very nifty thing and greatly enhanced in 2010. The purpose here is not to focus on the table at this moment. The purpose here is to continue to look in the top toolbar and see what appeared. Table tools, specifically design tools for the table and layout tools for the table. These are what we refer, this is the contextual tabs. So depending on what it is that you're working on, those additional features and functions appear. Now, where did they go? Well, right now, I'm not working in the table. I personally like this feature a lot, and I highlight it because what it does is it saves me from hunting through those features when I can't even use them. So if I want to access the features for the table, I simply click back into the table, and up on the top, the table tools, and now I could go to the design of that, to the layout, etc. Now, while we're here, I can't resist sharing with you one of my favorite features of Office 2010. I know I may say that a few times, but that's the true what you see is what you get. If I want to look, for example, at the table again, if I want to change the design, all I do is put my mouse over that option, and it gives me the visual of what that would look like. So it really is the what you see is what you get, and you can look at that without even having to select it and then go, oh my goodness, that yellow is horribly difficult to read, and you can go back. So it's improving the efficiency, and for me what that does is not only improve the efficiency of selecting the design I want, but it encourages me to play with it a little bit more. Because I go, okay, what's that? No, no, okay, I'll go back to that. What did that take me? All of a couple of seconds. So these are some of the elements that we find in 2010. Now, don't like what you did? We're back to our quick access toolbar in that upper left-hand corner. One of my very favorite quick access toolbar features is the undo table. Many of you may have used this. If I click on it once, it will undo that last action. What you may not have yet discovered is this drop-down arrow. In one swoop, I could undo all three of those just by moving down with my mouse. I want one more. And there we are back where we started. So that's the nature of the contextual tabs. Those tabs will appear when you're doing things that give you additional options. Again, yes, this applies in Word and Excel as well, and Outlook. Now, a couple final quick notes on the general Office navigation. In the lower right-hand corner, we have a zoom bar. I'm a huge fan of this zoom bar because you can imagine I do a lot of online presentations. But honestly, I've been using it more and more, even for myself, to be able to easily see at whatever size I want. So you can still go to the View tab, and you could zoom in. But this gives you a lot more flexibility, and it's a lot faster to be able to get just that view that you want. Just to the left of that zoom bar, are the view icons. So in the PowerPoint mode, we've got our normal, we've got our slide sorter, reading view, and then the presentation mode there. So those icons simply move from the lower left corner to the lower right. So 2003, we had menus. 2007 and 2010, we've got the ribbons with this new interface. So I hope that gives you an overview of the general navigation. And now we're going to go ahead and dive into a couple of things that are specific to each of these applications. So the first application that we're going to start with is Word. So I have prepared an outline for us. I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure you're seeing on the screen what we need to. Perfect. All right. So in general, with the 2010 interface, one of the things, little tidbits I would offer, is that if you see a majority of the most commonly used features and functions are on the Home tab. So first and foremost, check there. Also, if you see something that's taking up what I like to call a lot of real estate, it might be worth having some familiarity with. So what do we see has lots of real estate in Word? Styles. You've probably seen these over the years, but may or may not have known how to use them or just how beneficial they can be to you. So I'm going to give you a quick example of how to use styles and let you see one of the my favorite benefits to using them. What are styles? They set the hierarchy and the logic of your document along with a number of formatting pieces. So if I have created an outline here and I would like to format it, I can simply click on that line. So I've got the Introduction to Office 2010 line. Now that's my title. So I have choices. I could click on title, and again, see, I haven't selected it. My hand, you can't see me, but my hands are off the mouse and off the keyboard. And now I've got a nice title. I didn't have to fuss with the font, the color, and I know that any place that I introduce a title in the rest of this document, it's going to be consistent. Or I could also do a heading 1, and that's going to be the top level heading. So we're going to leave it as a title for now, and we're going to move on to our next topic. So for the next topic, this is our heading 1. Now I can continue with this, all right? Now, if I've got a number of them, a little shortcut, if I know that most of these are going to be heading 1, I could actually highlight them all, click on heading 1, and now I could go back in and make that, in this case, 1 exception, where my file extensions is heading 2. And you see the visual difference between heading 1 and heading 2. That's what we mean by the logic and the hierarchy is set. Now, yes, you can modify these, and you can create your own styles as well. But hopefully this gives you a quick idea of how to use them. And now I want to show you one of the many benefits of consistently using styles in your documents. If you're creating a document, whether it's a 5-page document or a 500-page document, a table of contents can often come in handy. However, and I'm likely to date myself here, but many of us remember when creating a table of contents, and yes, actually typing those lovely little dots was not much fun. Nowadays, it's so fast and so easy that you can actually do it in Word to help you to navigate the document even as you're still creating it. So let me give you an example. I'm going to give my table of contents a heading 1 as well. And then underneath it, I go to the Reference tab. And right there, it says Table of Contents. I'm going to stick with the automatic format. And just that quickly and easily, my table of contents was created. Now, we know it wasn't magic. So how is it that it was created? Okay, let me zoom. You see my use of that zoom bar there so you can see everything. Because we use styles, Word automatically knew that those heading 1s were we're going to create the table of contents. You see that heading 2 for the file extensions, and you see the page numbers. I'm on one page, not such a big deal, right? But as you can imagine, and as I recently did, when you're working with a 100 to 300 page document, sometimes quite frankly even a 20-page document, to be able to go to that section instantly can come in handy. So this table of contents is not only a reference at the beginning, it's also what we call clickable. They're hyperlinks. So you can come in, press the Control key, click on Contextual Tabs. The first time when you insert a table of contents and you do that, it takes a few minutes for Word to think. After that, it's usually very quick, and it will take you to that point in your document. The last point that I want to make here about this table of contents is if you see up here it says Update Table, or you can right-click on it. Once you continue to add content and add things to your outline, to your document, all you have to do is update the table, and it'll ask you if you want to update the page numbers only or the entire table. So if you've added sections, you can update the entire table. So it's really very useful, and that is all as a result of using those styles. So styles help you with the formatting, and then the table of contents is a great tool there. So now we'll pop into PowerPoint, although we saw some things in PowerPoint in the general introduction. What I want to point out to you are a couple of kind of high-level highlights, if you will. The first thing that I want to talk about is themes versus templates. And mainly this is because there has been a change in the language. So if we all go to open up a new PowerPoint presentation, we go to the File tab, and if I go to New, I can open up a blank presentation. That's great, but how many of us really like to start from scratch? I also can open up a New from Existing, and I have to mention this point because, again, it is available in PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. The New from Existing allows you to open up a brand new file, taking the existing, but you don't overwrite anything. It actually creates a new file. So it's a good habit to get into to use that. The other thing that is absolutely worth being familiar with are the themes. So if I click on themes, you see that this is the look, the feel, the color, the format, the fonts. So in Office 2010, that's called the theme. Now if I want to go back, just like in our internet, we've got our breadcrumbs, I just click on Home and it'll take me back to that spot there. Now let's look at sample templates, because I promised I was going to give you the distinction between themes and templates. So templates include a theme, but it adds content. So previously the template was the look and the feel. Now we're making the distinction between themes, the look, the feel, and templates, which include content. The online content that is available is pretty phenomenal. So for example, these are sample templates, but if I go home for one more second, you can see all of these templates just about don't need to start from scratch on anything. Again, throughout all the applications. Now to carry this example forward, we're going to use this training template, and notice it doesn't say open, it says create. So depending on your internet speed and which one you download, you can see often it's very, very quick. So now I've got a whole template in PowerPoint that I can take a look and pick and choose what works for me. I may ditch most of it, but it helps me to not have to start from a blank screen, and it may have a gem of an idea or two. Of course, when you download content, you want to make sure that you've gone through all of it to make sure that it's relevant to your presentation. Now, as promised, what I want to highlight here are the Smartart options. So the Smartart options, I'm going to scroll down here. This gives us a good example. Now, we used to think that bullets were visual. Although it's nice they've added a picture, these bullets still are not particularly visual, right? Well, in Office 2010, the number of visual elements that are available at your fingertips instantly is pretty phenomenal. So let me give you a couple of examples. I'm going to add a new slide, and I can do that right from the Home tab. I can either click on New Slide, and it will give me the exact same format and layout as the one previous, or I could click on that drop-down arrow, and I could choose which layout I want. Now, when you see these icons in the middle, these are simply hyperlinks to that function. This green sort of chevron is your Smartart. But I want you to know how to find it in case it's not on the page. If we go to Insert, we see Smartart right here. Now, if I click on Smartart, it's going to show all the options that are available. But they've also got it very nicely categorized. So, for example, if you would like to create an org chart, which used to be a complete bear in PowerPoint, you can simply click on Hierarchy, choose the style of org chart you'd like, and your org chart has begun. You can add shapes, you can change, you see the Smartart tools, see that contextual tab popped up. So you can still make changes even though you've selected that, and you can see just how easy it is to quickly get an org chart up and running. Now let's add another new slide. I go back to the Home tab. Now I'll use that icon, my little shortcut, and I want to point out in the Process section, there's some ever popular upward arrow. How about the funnel? Okay, so all of these are basically preset graphics that all you do is pick which one, and then you can type your text. And of course, you can customize further from there. Now, the last thing that I want to mention on the Smartart is many of us have presentations that we've been using for some time, and we want to update those. Again, you don't have to start from scratch. So in fact, if we take a look at these bullets here, I could highlight these bullets, right-click, convert to Smartart. And now I can see what that would look like even. I haven't even chosen it. All I've done is put my mouse over that to see what it might look like. And I can pick the Smartart that I want. Change colors. How's that? So the idea here, I promise I wanted you to get more comfortable to be able to play with some of these options. And to me, it's knowing that they're there, number one, but also that it's easy to try it. And then if you didn't like those colors, I go back to my Quick Access toolbar and undo. Now, the last thing that I want to highlight in our PowerPoint section, I'm going to the show mode here. And yes, indeed, how many of you have ever wished you had one of those fancy laser pointers while you were doing a presentation? Well, in PowerPoint 2010, you do. All you have to do is press the Control key on your keyboard and left-click your mouse, and you, too, have a fancy laser pointer that will not risk blinding anyone. So that's one of the latest, greatest features in PowerPoint 2010 is that laser pointer. Again, you have to be in the show mode, the presentation mode. You press the Control key on your keyboard and the left mouse on your, the left thing on your mouse. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so now let's dive into Excel for a quick peek. And then we'll be on track for a couple minutes of questions. Now again, with Excel, they continue to enhance the analysis that you can do and how user-friendly it is. So I'm just going to give you a couple of the highlights. Usually when we're using Excel, there's some sort of analysis that we want to do. Many of us are familiar with sorting, but they've made this easier to use and much better. If we go to the Data tab in Excel, we can click on Sort, and we see that we can now add levels. And in fact, they actually work. So this particular list is a registration list. So maybe what I want to do is I want to sort by the actual workshop with the title. Then I can add a level, and I want to sort by the location. If I wanted to, I could add another level, probably last name. Now what you'll notice here is that you can dictate how you want it to sort. A to Z, Z to A, custom list, there's all sorts of things you can do there. I click on OK. My list is instantly sorted by title, then by location, and then my last name in case I had any duplicates. So this is helpful. This gives me some information, but not all. So the next level of analysis that is really helpful to be familiar with are the filters. If you ever wondered how people get those drop-down arrows on the top column, it's the filter right here. So again, we're in the Data tab. I click on Filter, and now I have drop-down arrows. Now what I want to highlight, I'm going to use my zoom bar to highlight it again. What I want to highlight here is the new addition in 2010 of this visual arrow. That's your visual cue that this column has been sorted by last name, by title, and by location. Any of you who have used filters know you can go much further with this. Let's say that I only want to see the Excel registrations. I click on that drop-down arrow, deselect all, click on Excel, OK. And now it shows me that funnel that shows me this list is filtered on that column, sorted by the last name, the location, and the title. So now I could go ahead and print this. I can do whatever analysis I need. When I'm ready to go back to my full list, I can click on Clear, and I'm back to the full list. So these pull downs continue to get better and better and better, and more options. Of course, the next level, which we won't go into today, that is so powerful are the pivot tables. And again, one of my favorites. I'm doing a quick chime check here, and we are right on track. So before I show you the fancy new feature in Outlook 2010, I want to very quickly go over the fill handle. Now, for many of you, this may be review. However, I like to say the fill handle is my friend. The fill handle allows me to do things like not have to type the rest of the days of the week if I'm completing the series. Excel guesses, based on my first entry, what I want to complete. Now, I'm not limited to the days of the week. I can do months. I can do all sorts of things. Any of you who have worked with this may know that the default for time is an hourly increment. So if I do 9 o'clock and I come to the lower right-hand corner for my fill handle, it's automatically going to create hourly increments. But what happens if I need to create an interview schedule with half-hour increments? I simply need to give Excel a little bit more information. And now I can highlight both those cells, go to the lower right-hand corner, and much better than me typing all those things, it quickly and accurately inserts those numbers. So experiment with the fill handle, and you'll see that it can reduce your typos and increase your efficiency. Now, as promised, the latest, greatest feature in Excel 2010 are called Sparklines. Now, this is a great example of tracking registrations per week. So week 1, we've got 26, week 2, 5. For some people, they can analyze this very quickly and easily at a glance. For others, a visual would be helpful. If we go to the Insert tab, over here we see this Sparklines group. These boxes are called groups. And I can select the line Sparkline. It says, what data would you like to use? Take my mouse, click on those cells, and I say, okay, are you ready? I'm smiling. I just love that. Instantly, I get a visual of the weekly registrations. And I can even come right up here, my Sparkline Tools Design tab, that contextual tab appeared, and I can add markers. So I've got the specific data available, but it also gives me a snapshot right there. There we go. So there is more help available, and the online help, the last thing I want to say before I hand it back over to Melissa, and then we'll open it up for a couple minutes of questions, is that the online help, the blue circle with a question mark in the upper right-hand corner of any of the applications, with the internet and powerful search capabilities, you can search on any specific question and get all sorts of help in the form of articles, videos, amazing resources that are available to help you to be more comfortable and more confident in your use of these applications. So with that, Melissa, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim. All right, everybody. Thank you, Kim, again for sharing your insights with us today. Here's our contact information so you can get in touch with us if you'd like to learn more. And now before we take questions, I have a few reminders. For those who joined us later in the session, please feel free to visit our blog and join our Facebook and LinkedIn groups. And you can also follow us on Twitter to stay updated on future webinars and events. We have a special offer for you today. For those who want to get more tips and techniques relating to the Microsoft Office 2010 applications, and if your organization is not already a corporate member, here are the special offers that we have coming up. And you can definitely dive deeper into those topics, and there's a URL right there for you. We also have another special, Writing to Make a Difference, for those of you who might be in the nonprofit field or fundraising or maybe green technology, and you need to write effectively to convey your message. This would be the workshop for you. And that's another special, and again, there's a URL right there that'll take you to our website. And now the Q&A portion. We invite you to please type your questions in the question box on the right, and I will field them to Kim.
Now, Melissa, I've had a chance to check out a couple of those questions, and I think I might be able to address a couple of them that I see here and some common themes, if you'd like me to dive in.
Yes, go right ahead.
So one of the questions, can you create the table of contents before the content is typed in? You would need something that you've set a style for it to, because it pulls those headings. It pulls the table of contents level for that. But again, you can update it as you continue to add content. Now, there were a couple other questions that I saw on the table of contents. And so you'll actually, Melissa, will this recording be on the Facebook Accomplishing More with Less group?
Yes, it definitely will.
So you'd actually be able to even review this whole session, let alone that table of contents feature again, if you would like. Now, I also see a question, how do I do a fill without progressing, filling in the same value? And that's a great question. And what you do is actually same answer. You just give Excel a little more information. So, for example, if you type in a number 1 and in the next cell a number 1, and then you highlight both those cells, it will then know that you're wanting to copy those instead of a series. So hopefully that makes sense. And yes, there is the APA format for templates. If there is a particular style, you can import those formats. And that's a great example of where if you go to your online help with the question mark and type in, how do I use or input or import APA format, it'll walk you through step by step on how to do that. But I know that that's something that is readily available.
Great. Well,
and the fill handle, sorry to cut you off, the fill handle again, it's in the lower right-hand corner of the cell that you're wanting to use. So you highlight the cell and then put your mouse to the lower right-hand corner. Do I have time for one more?
I think so. I think we got to a lot of them. Do you see any new questions coming up on your end? I think we got to most of them here, actually.
The question about creating links in Excel to another worksheet. So I'm going to take this opportunity, if I might, and if you can give me back control, does that work?
Sure, yes, will do.
Okay, here we go.
Kim's going to stay. Oh, can you get that, Kim? There you go.
Yep, got it. Okay,
awesome.
So what I wanted to demonstrate here, and this, again, it applies to all the applications. If I've got something, say, in this cell, doesn't really matter which one it is, or we'll use Word as our example. If I've got the word contextual, if I right-click, I can create a hyperlink. We're all familiar with the hyperlink for email, but there are other options. So I can actually hyperlink to an existing file or web page or to a place in this document. I could create a new document or an email address. So if I click on place in this document, it shows me the things that are available within this document, and I could hyperlink, say, to the table of contents, for example. So that word is now linked, just like when we're online and we're in various web pages and we click on the link and it takes us to another section. Well, we can do that in Office 2010 as well. So hopefully that helps with that issue. Again, you can do that in PowerPoint, Excel, and in Word.
Great.
I think we're close to time, but do you see any other last-minute questions we might be able to help folks with?
Did you get this last one, how to autofill a formula down a column without using the fill handle to go down the whole column? How do you autofill a formula down a column without using the fill handle to go down the whole column?
I'm thinking for just a moment, how do you autofill a formula down a column without using the fill handle to go down the whole column?
That's a good one.
It depends. Of course, the answer is going to be it depends. It's possible, if this is an extensive spreadsheet that you're working on, that it might be that you're looking for a macro, which a macro allows you the opportunity to repeat the same function over and over based on certain criteria. So it's possible that that was your answer, because if it's 10 or 20, you wouldn't have any problem just selecting that and letting it fill. If you're looking for a formula from across tabs, you might want to, again, go onto your online help or other resources and check into 3D formulas. Might be another useful thing to be touching base on. Those are the things that immediately come to mind.
Great.
But as with all of these applications, there's at least 2 or 3 different ways to get to the same end result.
Exactly. Well, great. We're a little bit over time, so I just want to say thank you again, Kim, for being here, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. You're going to see a feedback screen pop up at the end of the session, and if you could please take a moment and fill that out, we would greatly appreciate it. We're now going to end the session, and thank you again, and have a great day.